Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we need to have a very serious talk in the garage about one of the biggest, most expensive lies currently printed in your car's owner's manual. Imagine you just bought a beautiful new car or a slightly used SUV. You are a responsible owner, so you open the glove box, pull out the maintenance manual, and start looking at the service schedule. You see the intervals for engine oil, tire rotations, air filters, but then you look for the transmission service, the differential fluid, or the transfer case oil. And right there, printed in black and white by the manufacturer, it says, sealed for life, lifetime fluid. No maintenance required. When you read that, it feels like a massive win, right? It feels like modern engineering has finally conquered friction. You think to yourself, wow, the engineers have created a magical mechanical system that never needs to be serviced. Guys, I'm here to tell you that this is a complete and absolute scam. It is a calculated multi-billion-dollar trap designed by corporate accountants, not by engineers. Today, we are going to break down the brutal physics of why lifetime fluid does not exist and how this specific lie is designed to destroy your car right after the warranty ends, forcing you to hand over $6,000 to the dealership. Let's dive in. First, we need to take a step back and look at the basic laws of physics and thermodynamics. Let's talk about what is actually happening inside your transmission. Your transmission is arguably the most complex mechanical component in your entire vehicle. Inside that metal casing, you have planetary gear sets, dozens of hydraulic valves, and stacks of friction clutches. When you're driving down the highway or accelerating from a stoplight, those metal gears are grinding, those clutches are grabbing, and they are generating a massive amount of heat and friction. The only thing stopping that transmission from turning into a melted pile of scrap metal is the transmission fluid. Now, what does that fluid actually do? It has three jobs. First, it lubricates the moving parts to reduce friction. Second, it acts as a hydraulic fluid to physically push the valves that change your gears. And third, it acts as a cleaner and a coolant, carrying heat and microscopic metal shavings away from the gears. Here's the undeniable truth of mechanics. No fluid on Earth can do that job forever. It is physically impossible over time because of the extreme heat cycles. The chemical structure of the oil breaks down. It loses its viscosity. It stops being slippery. But worse than that, as the internal clutches inside your transmission naturally wear down over time, they release microscopic particles of friction material and metal dust into the fluid. After 50 or 60,000 miles, that bright red clean fluid turns into a dark, thick, abrasive sludge. If you do not drain that fluid out and replace it with clean oil, that abrasive sludge gets pumped through the tiny hydraulic passages of the valve body. It acts like liquid sandpaper. It clogs the solenoids. Your transmission starts to slip, it starts to shift hard, and eventually it completely destroys itself. So if the laws of physics prove that fluids degrade and get dirty, why would massive intelligent companies like BMW, Toyota, Ford, and Audi print lifetime fluid in their official manuals? Are their engineers stupid? No, the engineers are brilliant. But the engineers do not write the marketing materials, and they do not make the final financial decisions. The accountants do. To understand the scam, you have to understand the corporate definition of the word lifetime. When you hear lifetime, you think of your life, or maybe the 20-year potential life of the vehicle. When a car corporation says lifetime, they mean the exact length of the factory powertrain warranty. To them, the life of the car is 60,000 miles or maybe 100,000 miles. They have mathematically calculated that the original transmission fluid will just barely survive until the warranty expires. Once that odometer ticks past the warranty limit, the manufacturer washes their hands of you. If the transmission blows up the next day, it is no longer their financial problem. It is your problem. But why would they do this? Why not just tell you to change the fluid at 50,000 miles like they used to? It all comes down to the fleet buyers and the leasing market. You see, the general public only buys a fraction of the new cars on the road. A massive chunk of new cars are bought by rental car companies, corporate fleets, and people who lease a car for exactly 3 years. When these massive fleet companies decide which car to buy, they look at a metric called the estimated cost of ownership over the first 3 to 5 years. If Brand A requires a $300 transmission fluid service at 50,000 miles, and Brand B says their fluid is lifetime and requires zero maintenance, Brand B looks cheaper on paper. The manufacturer eliminates the transmission service purely to lower the estimated maintenance cost, so they can sell more cars to corporate fleets. It is a brilliant marketing trick, but it creates a ticking time bomb for the second and third owners of the vehicle. Let's look at what happens when the bomb goes off. You buy a used car with 80,000 miles on it. The previous owner never changed the transmission fluid because the manual told them they didn't have to. You drive it for another year, and suddenly the car refuses to shift into third gear. The dashboard lights up like a Christmas tree. You tow it to the dealership, hoping they can just clean it out or replace a small sensor. The mechanic comes out to the waiting room and hits you with the brutal truth. The internal clutches are burned out and the valve body is destroyed by metal shavings. And here is the kicker. Modern dealerships rarely rebuild transmissions anymore. They don't want to spend the labor hours taking it apart. Instead, they tell you that you need a completely new transmission. They hand you an estimate for $6,000, $7,000, or even $8,000 for a car that is 7 or 8 years old. A $7,000 repair bill essentially totals the vehicle. It makes zero financial sense to fix it, so what do? You sell the car for scrap and you go back into the dealership showroom to buy a brand new car. Do you see how perfect this system is for them? By telling you to ignore basic mechanical maintenance, they ensure that the car will eventually destroy itself in a way that is so catastrophically expensive. You are forced back into the buying cycle. It is the ultimate form of planned obsolescence. So how do you protect yourself? How do you escape this trap? It is actually incredibly simple. You have to stop trusting the marketing department and start trusting basic mechanics. You need to completely ignore the phrase sealed for life. There is no such thing as a sealed transmission. Every transmission has a drain plug and a fill plug. Every differential has a drain plug. Every transfer case has a drain plug. If you want your vehicle to last 200,000 miles or more, you need to establish a strict baseline of preventative maintenance. Find a good, independent, honest mechanic in your town, not the dealership. Tell them you want a simple drain and fill of your transmission fluid every 50,000 miles. Do the same for your all-wheel drive transfer case and your differentials. Yes, it might cost you $200 or $300 every few years, but spending $300 today is the best insurance policy in the world to prevent a $7,000 transmission replacement tomorrow. Fresh, clean fluid is the lifeblood of your vehicle. It keeps temperatures down, it removes the metal shavings, and it ensures those hydraulic valves can operate perfectly for decades. Do not let corporate accountants tell you how to maintain heavy machinery. Oil is cheap, metal is expensive. Protect your investment. If this explanation helped you understand the game they are playing with your money, please hit that like button. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people. And I want to hear from you down in the comments. Have you ever been a victim of a lifetime fluid transmission failure? Do you change your fluids regularly or have you been following the manual? Let's share some experiences down below so we can all learn. Thanks for hanging out in the garage with me today. Keep your fluids clean, make smart choices, and I'll catch you in the next video.